And we're live. I think now is an important time for me to go live because it's one of the milestones in my recovery from a car accident. And I think it can help relate to the pain that people are feeling in the markets right now. So today is the first day that I am not taking pain medicine anymore. It has been 19 days since the crazy accident that I'm thankful for surviving. Um, the top speed of the car that we were in was 150 or 160 miles an hour. It looks like, you know, some people think the car could have flipped 4 times. And I'm just so thankful to be alive. I also recognize that pain is something that can really focus the mind, and pain is something that can't always be avoided. And so when we think about when when are the times that I'm happiest that I dollar cost averaged into Bitcoin? When am I happiest that I dollar cost averaged into Hex? When did I really feel like I was living my best life and being my best self? Was when I really cared about something so much as Hex, was when I went towards the pain instead of away from it. So, you know, I had the dubious honor of being, the person who got a letter from the SEC asking if I got paid to promote Hex, which I didn't. And then a couple days later, I'm in a car accident, and then now we're 19 days later, and uh, I'm still getting back to where I was, but I'm appreciating much more greatly life, the things that I care about, and the things that I want to stand up for, and that's Hex. Um, and so the amount of support that this tweet got, was like getting 904 get well cards all at once, and so that was amazing. And I'm so grateful for the Hex community. Um, the Hex community is a group of people that have time locked their tokens which have actual value on Ethereum. People have time locked, um, thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars each for an average of 6.5 years. And if that doesn't prove, like down to a cryptographic proof, if that doesn't prove once and for all that this community is the most committed in all of crypto, then you're looking at the wrong stats, right? So, and you can see all that at hexdailystats.com. You can see exactly what's going on the blockchain, because Hex is actually shown on the blockchain, all the transactions nearly. Whereas, the majority, over 50% of Bitcoin and Ethereum transactions, they occur on a centralized exchange behind closed doors where nobody can audit it, and where people like Sam Bankman-Fried can run away with $10 billion worth of people's hard-earned money. Hex is something that is truly decentralized finance, and it operates in a way that can be easily verified by a decentralized community of people. I made a front end for Hex. That's how decentralized it is. I never took a fee. I never got paid. I'm doing this because it's a passion play. I'm doing this because it feels good to make a difference and to just give instead of always taking. So that's what happens when people, I think, get financially free of mind. You could be rich, but you're owned by the things that you own. If you have expensive cars and boats and houses and a social life that demands a lot, and a job that demands a lot, are you really free if you spend all of your time just tending to the matters of what you own instead of tending to the problems of the world, right? And charities, they're not flawless, right? They run without as much risk of failure, you could say, as somebody who's just taking an entrepreneurial spirit. And so that's why, for me, it is so meaningful to develop a blockchain product. If you haven't learned about Time Pays Me, you will eventually, because I've invented a way to undo a hack, basically the way that that works is you can think of it like if it takes you a week to request to take your money out of a vault that you own with your own private keys, then if a hacker had your private keys, then they would have to send a withdraw request and wait a week. And then you could get notified of that, because if you initiated the withdraw, then who cares if you get a notification? But if somebody else initiated the withdraw, then that notification becomes very valuable, because it means somebody is trying to take your funds. And so with Time Pays Me, and you can go on Twitter, you can go on allmylinks.com/timepaysme, and you can start to learn about the game theory that'll be released with my product. The idea is that because Time Pays Me asks you to set up a pre-selected recovery address, what that means is I can give permission ahead of time for a wallet that I control to be my backup. I can basically create a switch. And then if I see that somebody's trying to hack my funds, I go to the Time Pays Me website that'll be created, and I flip a switch. And what that does is it allows basically it allows ownership to be transferred immutably to the backup, to the pre-selected recovery address. And that could be my own cold storage wallet, or it could be a friend or family member's public address, and I trust that they didn't get their private key hacked. So in order to demonstrate this, I'm going to put $10,000 worth of Pulse Chain tokens into a Time Pays Me vault, and I'm going to read off the seed words to that, because I want to prove to you and to the world that how much I believe in programmable money and how easy it's going to be to innovate the crypto space now that we have a group of people that are not corrupted, right? It doesn't take just taking somebody like me or somebody like Richard Hart, somebody who's altruistic in a sense, but not dumb or communistic. For people like us, we have to have an audience of people who are willing to get the word out about what we're doing. It's not enough to just invent something cool. You have to build community first. And Richard built community, and it looks like I'm following along. Destiny is taking me exactly in his footsteps. So that's kind of ironic that Richard made videos on YouTube about mental health. I did that. And he did that because he was just such a guru about everything. I did it because I have a background as a mental health therapist. I'm retired from that profession, and before that, I was a neuroscientist. So that's pretty amazing. And then Richard Hart volunteered for the Sense Foundation. I volunteered for the Sense Foundation because he did, and because I think longevity is cool. And then Richard Hart started talking about the game theory of Hex, much like I'm following on his path, and I'm talking about the game theory of Time Pays Me before it gets released. And there are going to be some major updates to that coming soon. So make sure you like and subscribe to this video, because whether you're hearing about this for the 10th time or you're hearing about it for the first time, I think it's going to be really valuable for people to get behind this idea. Because I think what we can do is we can popularize the idea of Pulse Chain and Pulse X partially through this mechanism of giving people the ability to undo a hack, giving people the ability to time lock their Pulse Chain and Pulse X tokens and earn trustless yield from the impatience of others, using behavioral principles of a carrot and a stick, and maybe multiple layers of that, as I will reveal at some point. And then just for ultimate bragging rights, I want to show that one day, so this was 2 days after my accident that I posted this to tell people that I was okay and to thank the community for reaching out. And then the third day after my accident, where I broke both of my clavicle bones, So that's what attaches your arms to your skeleton. So like that sucks. And then broke a rib and bruised a lung. Didn't get any TBI, thankfully. That's amazing. And then also shout out to the other two Hexicans that were in the car with me. I was the passenger, and Art was driving, and he's had a more difficult recovery, but looks like he might be able to have a full recovery, which is incredible. And then Dom was in the back seat, and shout out to him, who he wore a seatbelt. All of us wore seatbelts, and that's. I hope that someday I get into the routine of using the catchphrase "buckle up." Buckle up for all this great news about crypto, and also buckle up because it'll save your life for sure. Okay, so here's the bragging rights. 3 days after my accident, I made a tweet that said Richard Hart was right, and that became that became the most viral catchphrase within the Hex community that we've had in the past 3 years. So I am going to gloat about this for a long time, I hope. I don't know. Richard was right, and people need to follow Richard Hart. All right. Shout out to everybody in the chat. So yeah, I want to get used to making videos more often. I want to talk about important topics. I want you all to get motivated, because now the people who are here now are the 1% of the 1% most engaged people. If you have already hit the like and subscribe, if you've already hit the like button on every video that you watch for me, if you like my tweets to get them out there and help them go viral, if you even if you just watch the video all the way through, that is so good for the algorithm. And during the bear market, this is where the new base of social engagement is built. And so if you're finding this, like, I'm gonna start putting in as much effort as I possibly can to create a buzz within the Hex community, to successfully pull off the 3rd annual online hexconference.com. I saw somebody posting on Twitter the other day, like, do we know when the next time Richard Hart is going to stream? It's very rare to know when the next time Richard Hart is going to stream, but we do know, like, we have confirmation that Richard Hart will speak at the 3rd annual online hexconference.com. And that's, the landing page hasn't even been created yet, but this is the channel you're going to find it on, and it's going to be on January 9th. And the start time, I'll announce that later on, but it'll be like 8 o'clock. It'll be like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, or 10 o'clock starting time for the Richard Hart segment on January 9th. And that's Chicago time, so Central. The majority of people do watch on the replay, and I want to, like, shout out to you as well, the person who's watching on replay. The people who are watching live, like, you are awesome. You're the most engaged people. You're the people who hit the like button like 10 times more often than the people who watch on replay. The people who watch on replay, though, double the amount of likes that are gotten on a YouTube video. And so there are a lot of angles to being a YouTuber that honestly I would like to share to the community, and I would like to make it so that we get more and more and more different styles of streamers. Like, there's a guy on Twitter now that he's posted a couple of videos that I've watched that have been really cool. He tagged me in them, or he tagged somebody else, and they just went viral within the Hex community. Can you imagine what's going to happen once Twitter has mapped out who's who within the Hex community and who's upcoming, especially? And then when Hex hits more virality than it already has, I mean, the social engagement around Hex didn't stop in the bear market like it did for every other crypto. If we had a chart of engagement in crypto versus engagement in Hex on Twitter or on YouTube, it would be stunning. It'd be really telling, actually, of what's really going on. you would think that the SEC looking into people, you would think that you know, changing up in the lineup of who's streaming daily and who's streaming weekly and who's streaming at all, you would think that those kinds of things, that maybe the outrage marketing of Richard Hart, that those things would um, be grinding Hex to a halt. But no, Hex is being talked about by more and more people. Even people who disagree keep bringing it up. I was listening to a Twitter Spaces 2 nights ago, and just as a side note, I mean, this is how I have become so knowledgeable to be able to do multiple streams per week that are multiple hours, is because I literally just listen to everything. It's just crypto Twitter and crypto YouTube. That's where I get all my information. So I was listening, and it was like two of the top Hex haters who are slowly becoming reformed, you could say, very slowly, Eric Wall, and in particular Mike Alfred. So I heard Mike Alfred on a Twitter Spaces that was held. It was her first Twitter Spaces ever. Somebody named Tiffany Fong underscore, and Tiffany Fong underscore is seems to be like a woman, kind of like Twitter reporter type, like amateur Twitter reporter type. I mean, it seems like that's what her MO is. And she's the one who's been DMing and having phone calls with Sam Bankman-Fried. And so she got taken up on stage, of course, at Mario's Twitter Spaces, where he was breaking the news of FTX's collapse and all that. And then, of course, you know, Elon Musk stopped in on some of those spaces. Maybe not when Tiffany Fong was speaking, but you know, but so you could just see, like, that's an up and coming star in the crypto space. But guess what? Tiffany Fong, who speaks directly to SBF, does not get more engagement than people in the Hex community. It's crazy. Even up and comers in the Hex community are getting more engagement. So let's put a pin in that. But basically, she was hosting her first space 2 nights ago, and it was probably in the last hour of a 2 or 3 hour spaces where Mike Alfred took the mic and he started comparing Hex to FTX and blah, 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 all these other things, trying to say that Richard Hart is some sort of centralized, that he makes a middleman situation. Do you know how silly this argument is? That Richard Hart creates a middleman situation? These guys, who themselves promote centralized exchanges or hold centralized coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum, the old guard, the like out of date technocrats that were just like leftovers from like the actual smart people who moved on. Like, this group of people is going to say that Richard Hart is a middleman in Hex. And we can see on chain that there's no sign whatsoever of Richard Hart or any whale that's unknown dumping Hex. Like, Richard Hart has not sold Hex in 3 years. He didn't sell any of it. We could see on chain who's likely the origin address. We could see on chain likely who all the whales are. Guess what? All of the whales in Hex are public. Can you say that about any other cryptocurrency? I should say that's my conjecture. That's something that's my educated guess. Okay. So try to get it straight here. All of the whales in Hex are known. How can you get any better in a cryptocurrency? There's never been a cryptocurrency like that, where all of the whales like volunteered to be known. They volunteered it. That's incredible. That it's because they're time locked. That's how we're measuring the whales, is people who actually believe in something, not just people who are holding liquid, because Hex liquid whales, they come and go. And what do? They just enrich the people who are trying to have a share of the future compound interest of Hex. People who are mining Hex with time, with their delayed gratification. They're trading immediate gratification for Hex. They're not trading like money, because to get into Hex, you usually have to trade your money for Ethereum, and then you delay your gratification on Ethereum, or you delay your gratification on Liquid Hex, and you give up the right to sell for on average 6.5 years. So the whales, they're getting rinsed, unlike any other asset known to man. And like, we have a chart of future market supply. Guess what? It doesn't matter what the price of a Hex is in the future. Hex is going to be much more rare in the future if you're not time locking, because you will get diluted. It's mathematically true. There is a proof. Go to allmylinks.com/allin. Do I have the economics proof linked on there? You can just go to hex.com and find the economics audit. There is unrefuted proof in there. And you could refute it, but you'd have to know math. There is proof that people can accumulate wealth in Hex terms by time locking and delaying gratification. And guess what? That's what makes Hex more scarce in the here and now as a percentage of the total amount of Hex that exists. So once people understand the deep details of Hex, they're going to choose that over anything else, even over Time Pays Me, I hope, which is just going to be introducing people to time locking, Pulse Chain, and Pulse X. So this is the latest and greatest FUD that Eric Wall, over 100,000 followers, that Mike Alfred, over 100,000 followers on crypto Twitter, the guys who in crypto, those numbers are impressive. In general social media, it's not somebody who has 8 million followers, but guess what? Like, crypto is still that small. Hexicans are accumulating more of the mind share of crypto than any other cryptocurrency right now. I mean, it's incredible. And so to say that Richard Hart is a middleman is technically and mathematically false, because if anything, the origin address is diluting itself. And I think, personally, that the origin address should act differently and should pay stakers less, because that would transfer more value into USD price appreciation. I think that would be a really cool thing. But, that'd be really hard for a lot of people to understand. I have seen the OA do unpopular things before, but that's my hot take. And some of you who have studied longer and who have been with the channel longer and who have watched every episode of Quant Gang, especially, you're gonna understand this like super high level take that less is more at this stage in the macro economy. They would be super bullish, I'd imagine, for Hex to pay less inflation. It'd be like an automatic happening. So that's your big idea for the day, and I'm excited that I was able to deliver so much just in the first 23 minutes. So you've got furus left and right who are out there advertising Hex to the world, saying technically incorrect things about it. Look at how ripe the world is with opportunity. It's incredible. We don't know, I don't know what the price of Hex is going to do. I wish I did. I wish I had inside information. I wish I was getting paid to promote Hex. Kind of. I mean, but for me, I care about the community. I started out, earlier in life, I became an Eagle Scout. After that, I worked for student government. I had such a popular group in student government. We just knocked on everybody's door on campus, just knocked on campus doors, and people enthusiastically hand wrote out letters. We went to campus administration and met with every administrator on campus. Do you know how many administrators there are on most campuses? There's 30 or 50. We met with all of them. and we gave them binders full of handwritten letters from students, and we said, look, this needs to get fixed. You know, like put lights on this trail so people don't get raped. You know, like give these students a discount because they were not moved in yet to the building that they were supposed to live on campus. Like, you know, just really sensible stuff. Like people should be able to register for their next year's classes if they owe $1 to the library. Like it's just, there's so many things in the world and organizations that just, they don't get fixed. The world doesn't get fixed until somebody comes along and fixes it. And I never got paid to be a student government senator. I never got paid to be an Eagle Scout. I never got paid to be a Hex broadcaster. Look at me now. You know, we're making a difference. And you can make a difference too, even if you're not on screen. You can make a difference by watching the video to the end and taking notes, handwritten notes. You make a tweet, send it to somebody who's weird enough to appreciate this level of content. Fall down the rabbit hole further. You can go to allmylinks.com/allin, and you will find something there that will educate you and keep you busy. I guarantee it. There's the Hex contract in layman's terms. There's the Hex contract in lay person's terms. There's playlists of what is Hex. There's all kinds of stuff. Let's see if the chat has anything to add. The bottom line is there are lots of ways to participate. There are lots of ways to get excited about Hex when we're experiencing pain. I went on a walk today that was probably about 2 miles, and today's the first day I stopped taking pain medicine, the hard stuff, and that's like way ahead of schedule. But I wanted to see what the pain would feel like. I didn't want to avoid the pain anymore. What I found is that it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, although it was very bad and I would not have liked looking forward to it. But I acted. I had a moment of clarity, and I put one foot in front of the other, in front of the other, in front of the other. I actually I made like a 30-second video when I was walking that hopefully it'll, you know, hopefully Twitter will do its thing and then I'll lead people into this video about how to take on market pain. The way that I take on market pain is I dollar cost average into things that I like when they're down 95% or even 70%. And I don't know, and that's painful because I've already experienced the pain of coming off of all-time highs, or just being down with my first cycle in crypto. I was down 70% with my life savings. My life savings was down. I don't think people should necessarily invest their life savings in crypto, but I had already done a couple of years of research and I already cared about it that much. And I knew that I could lose that and that I would still be okay. And that I wouldn't complain to the government or something, that like I took responsibility for that. And I had been burned before by speculation. And but it took experiencing pain to be able to make it through the rest, to even get the rest of, because it's really against human emotions and human nature to buy low and sell high. It takes a high pain tolerance to do those things. It takes emotional intelligence. And if you're shying away, and I know a lot of us are, because I get a drip in Hedron. I get, a certain amount of money every week that I could choose, like, I want to live on this, I want to live a better lifestyle, or do I want to delay gratification and put it into USDC because I think Hex could go lower, or because I want more living expense. Like, I want more of a runway before I have to go back to work. Um, which I think I have so many skills now. I could do a different type of work, but yeah, I mean that's the idea, is that sometimes I take my Hedron drip and I put it into Hex, and sometimes I take it and I put it into USDC. And the more the more pain tolerant I am, the more reward I could get, but also I have to be patient. And that's why I think one of the coolest uses that I could use Time Pays Me for now is to drip USDC to myself to dollar cost average into Hex. That would be like the coolest use case I could think of the technology before Pulse Chain and Pulse X exists, because they haven't launched yet. And people have asked, like, when will Time Pays Me launch versus when Pulse Chain and Pulse X will launch? And the answer is the game theory keeps getting so much better and advanced. I mean, like, there was a theoretical thing we had with, like, how to avoid something that could look like a common pool, because I got mad respect for the SEC. As much as I would, like, tweet about my freedom of speech and everything, because that's like Twitter banter and everything, but, like, I got a lot of respect for the purpose. The true purpose of the SEC is to stop bad guys and to check in people who, to basically check on things that they don't understand, or to check on things that are unusual, or to, like, give people feedback, like that. That's a really good use. And so far, I mean, I have a high level of expertise. We've been thinking about these ideas for 3 years about Hex and how it's not a security. Time Pays Me is not even going to meet 5%, in my opinion, of, like, what a security is. And so any mechanism that can reward people, it has to be something that is not a common pool. And that's important. And whether you think that's important or not, it's always just better game theory to operate within the confines of the law, because the law theoretically should be there to, like, stop scammers and people who aren't scamming. Hopefully they're clever enough to come up with ways to um, ways to distinguish themselves, right? Like, that's um I mean, that's what competition is. That's what academia is. That's what the world is. Is like, we want to find game theory where everybody can win, and that's rewarding theoretically the right behaviors, right? Like, Hex pays people inflation, like, from a Bitcoin miner, which the SEC says is, like, that's cool. Like, Bitcoin mining situation is fine. They don't like that it, maybe parts of people don't like that it burns electricity, but the mechanism of, like, is Bitcoin mining a security? Like, no. Like, at the base layer it's not. At, like, the layer of, I'm going to create a token to, like, monetize selling Bitcoin miners or something, like, that would be a security, and I would never do that, because it's, well, loss making endeavor anyway, but also because it would violate the Howey test, and you would have to register with the SEC if you wanted to do that. But the SEC has also published stuff and been very clear, in my opinion, of what I've studied and seen, about what parts of crypto are securities and what parts maybe aren't. And so yeah, so, like, that's like that's the backstory of, like, Time Pays Me will probably end up utilizing game theory that is, on the same level of Hex, where you have a decentralized smart contract and you're running the software yourself, and that's you know, and there can be elements of that that are even simpler to understand, I think, because uh, Time Pays Me is not going to be minting Pulse Chain or Pulse X tokens, which are the tokens that can be locked up. But anyway, to like close the thread on the value of being able to time lock in order to DCA into something and DCA out of something, using Hex, I mean, that how beautiful of a design can you get where I could take $1,000 of USDC and I could drip it to myself, 10% a week for 10 weeks. So I time lock for 10 weeks, and then every week I can get out 10%, and I can buy Hex with it or whatever I want to do with it. Maybe my thesis has changed, and I can time lock that Hex. That is something that is just so logical to put on the blockchain. Oh, I got my arm in a sling. It's a black sling, so it's hard to see. Yo, respect to everybody in the live stream chat. We are up to 54 people watching live, usually 1,000 to 2,000 in the replay. I'm streaming at a different time than I normally stream, but I wanted to capture the pain that I was in physically and try to relate it to what the market pain can be, to what it feels like to buy in a bear market, basically. So you can get my daily alpha at t.me/smartvaultme, and you can get the rest of my content at allmylinks.com/allin. I guess I normally switch over to the lo-fi beats. I read the chat. I'll do a speed round of the chat here. Thanks for being here, and we'll get to these questions, and then we'll wrap it up. So hit the like and subscribe button, and do all the things. Pain reminds you that you're alive. That's correct. Your guardian angel was working hard. I totally believe that. Jason says he loves you. Thanks. Greetings. The scammers are going to be sick about the Time Pays Me product. That's right. I love the game theory. Hey, thank you so much. Real billionaire voice. Jay Everything, shout out to you. What's up, Finbear? Finbear came on the stream the other day. Finbear did a Hex testimonial video like a year and a half ago when we were doing those. It was really a cool one. Richard is a middleman between me and Louis Vuitton. Not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. Show me the transaction on chain. Maddie, what's up? I like the burning heart emoji. I wish I could change my Twitter. I verified myself on Twitter with like the $8 feature, and I didn't realize it would lock my name with all the emojis in it, which I don't mind the ones I have, but that burning heart emoji is like creating a t-shirt, and the strong arm is like what the t-shirt gives you. But Time Pays Me is going to improve on that as well, just in the sense that when you have a drip, it's testing your patience as well. And when you have the ability to take a 10% early payday, but it's going to cost you, that's another carrot and a stick situation. Maybe there are three. Maybe there are like 3 or 4 carrot and stick situations in Time Pays Me. That's good stuff. Oh, and I have like 15 minutes before I meet with my dev. So, has anyone talked to Hex19 recently? I hope he's okay. I think so. Well, I'll text him. I would rather get things done when I'm reading the live chat and not get to it all than to like leave so many things unanswered. Okay, I just texted Hex19. For a minute, I thought you were gonna say Mike Alfred had changed. Now he's a Hexican. LOL. Not yet. No. I almost got on the live stream. It's just Sometimes I'm ready to take on the people who still haven't gotten it yet. Other times it's like, but I like a good debate. Oh, you should go to my Twitter. I don't even know. Normally I like to show kind of how I've been dunking on Eric Wall on my YouTube channel, because then I get a couple thousand more likes on it. But will Hex bottom first and go back up before BTC because Hex topped first? That's a poll that's heating up here on Twitter. 202 people have voted since I posted this morning. And this tweet does not make a whole lot of sense. I make an illogical tweet about 1 out of every 5 or 10, just because sometimes those do better. So yes, pray, that's the part that's like, what? And then nah, 11K, and then huh? So over half the people think that yes, Hex will bottom first and go back up before Bitcoin because Hex topped first. Like even the use of the word because is like pretty inaccurate, because it's like, it's not because of that. Probably. I mean, I don't even think with like Hart's Law and stuff. It could be. I mean, there could be more liquidity, not that's on chain anywhere, but that's like between hexagons, because so many hexagons came over from the Bitcoin world. But when we were doing Quant Gang and when Bitcoin was topping, I got the impression that a lot of the Hex OGs that had been, the couple thousand millionaires that have been created on paper because of Hex, that a lot of them, they had already sold their Bitcoin. Like I sold at least 2/3 of my Bitcoin and bought Hex with it and profited significantly, of course. Wow, that's a lot more votes that just appeared. There's no way everybody literally just went and voted. That's Twitter doing its thing. I like that. That's really cool. Go Elon Musk. Make Hex popular again. What about the God Whale? What about the God Whale? Did somebody say that's who's been selling? Who cares? Don't you want Hex to be decentralized and a good deal for people getting in now? I mean, do you have so much liquid that you're trying to sell now? A lot of people probably are in the situation where they like have a lot of liquid Hex that they're trying to live off of because they retired early. But those of us who are in that situation, including me, guess what? We have to get washed out, or we have to change our ways. We have to stop selling Hex. We could sell other things like airdrops. Not financial advice. Not a concern troll. But should we be concerned on the Hex Investment Trust being subpoenaed? I mean, I will comment on that tomorrow. I've got so much to say on that. You've hit the jackpot of information coming soon. Congratulations. You get bragging rights. You read my mind. Finbear. Oh, and like, should we be concerned? I don't like being concerned. That's not a good state of mind for me. But I also don't try to let my emotions dictate I don't try to let my pain dictate what I do with my money. And people are free to, if they want to do that or if they don't want to do that, but it's kind of human nature to just be like concerned. And part of being in a bear market is like being a contrarian to yourself. In my case, in my experience. OA could do, so Finbear says, OA could do a couple massive stakes to pump up the t-shirt rate. That would incentivize the sharks who are rolling stakes to stake longer. Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. And I've been saying it privately for six months. But now I need to say it publicly because other people are saying it. It's cool again. Make getting paid less cool again. Dennis, Hex Bond, I love your content, Maddie. Hey, thanks. That brightens my day. Look at how positive this situation or this interaction just went, where Dennis, Hex Bond, posted something nice and it lights up my day. Thank you. I have not watched the stream with RG3 and Kinetics yet, so people need to catch me up to speed. Maybe the few people I talk to on my DMs. The trust is a legal entity on its own, not connected with Hex in any way. My guess is the SEC wants to see if they get paid from someone in Hex. Hex Incorporated, which does not exist. Exactly. You the man, Maddie. Thanks, Hex Fetty. You rock. If you're concerned with subpoenas, you should be concerned with due diligence even more. Yeah, that's a great point. So anybody who's like getting scared off or who's not even learning, I mean, it doesn't, investing money isn't as valuable probably to the people who are volunteering in Hex. It's probably not as valuable, your money versus like you learning what is so cool about what we're doing here. Like that, the reason I'm not selling my audience is because I think that there's a chance that some of my audience could wake up from the matrix and discover what's so cool about Hex. Why does everybody love it so much? Why will it not go away? Why does Hex dominate crypto Twitter in a disproportionate manner to what the market cap says? I've got a clue for you. Maybe the market cap is way lower. Maybe we are still early. Maybe it's only the people who figure that out that get rewarded the most. Maybe Hex is still designed to create new quote unquote whales. Doesn't mean everybody can be a whale, but it means that, look, VCs aren't getting into Hex, do we know? I think I know who all the whales are in Hex. It's because because I've been paying attention for 3 years, because certain people are public about how big their stack is. Or it's just logical inferring who's investing in the space in that sort, who's developing. And by the way, I should probably be way richer than I am, based on how much, like but I'm doing a different model where I invest my time and energy into broadcasting, to building an audience, and to building a product. Time pays me. I need to get a good Time Pays Me banner. I need to talk to my graphic design person, which is myself. I need to talk to myself and get that logo that I have on the thumbnail. That's what really needs to be in here. So let me see. I have 4 minutes left. I do need to add the end screen for the Twitter folks. Got Hodl Dog from the Thanksgiving special I did. He didn't get a chance to come on, but he was here in meme form. Does Time Pays Me have a drip? Yes, Time Pays Me does have a drip automatically. You get to withdraw weekly the amount of time that you've served. Hexiest man in the world, what's going on? Thank you for calling me the GOAT. Let's see. A while ago, says Dennis, you posted a vid where you showed us where to find the Hex order book. I'm aware of 2 places, DexKit and Metric. Metric stopped working for a while. Do you know more places where to find it? Have you tried matcha.xyz? I'll just say lots of places, and then you can tell me if you're finding what you need there. Matcha.xyz. I think you're talking about metric.exchange. I mean, if you're like, I don't want to promote Hotbit, but if you're like on a centralized, just don't go there. Just use a DEX. These days, you gotta use a DEX. So I'm throwing that up in the chat. What's up, Toby1 Hexobi? Hey, go back to the beginning of the episode, watch it on 2x. I've been crushing it. I think I'm gonna start streaming earlier and later. I'm gonna have a mixed schedule of earlier times and later times. I'm evolving. I mean, and then if you're just wanting the stats of stuff, because it's all like feeding through order. I mean, it's all feeding through automated market makers and here's another place just to understand like how the order routing works. What's it called? Hold on. Actually, here, I'm just going to explain how I'd find it publicly instead of just going to like a private place I could find the message. I'm going to go to allmylinks.com/ALLin. This is a teachable moment here, how we can find stuff. Ooh, what if it's not on there? All right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go into the description below. I'm gonna pull up the description. Yeah, here we go. Yes, all right, cool. So on here, I go down to the description below. I'm gonna see here that there's something that I haven't yet put on allmylinks.com, which is Hex on ETHW info. And that's not super relevant to your question because you're not talking about Hex on ETHW, but it's Kyber swap. I just remembered it. Dex Screener should have like stats on the order book, I think. It should say something about Kyber swap on here. Anyway, I have to go meet with my dev now, but there you should be able to find on KyberSwap and on Dex Screener, you should be able to find information about the order book that you're looking for. Also, matcha.xyz and metric.exchange. I'm sorry I didn't get to everybody's comments. You guys rock. Hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the bell notification, which I never say, but hit the bell notification because I'm going to be mixing up my times. I am going to be speaking the truth to power and all that good kind of stuff. So this has been Maddie ALLin. Follow me on Twitter and YouTube and everywhere else in the description below. Until next time, my friends, stake wisely and peace out.
It's from Maddie ALLin of HexTherapy.live. I like Maddie. Maddie tries to make the world a healthier place. He's a mental health professional. He's done research.
Big videos on sudden wealth syndrome.
There's nothing that a human being could do better than try and heal his fellow man.
Maddie ALLin's got that covered. Does emotional, feel-good, mind management, emotion stuff like as his gig because he's a therapist. That's what he does for a living. Like he helps heal people.